Hello and welcome to this quick explainer of what the Inventors Masterclass is all about and how it can work for you and your project to make you income for your project in months instead of years. So let's have a look. Firstly, there's 5 key principles involved. First, we need to get traction in our project. If you're slow on your project, unfortunately, people will overtake you, people will learn of the project, or the market need will be filled by others with other solutions. You have patent costs coming up, and if you have started the patent process, you know you've got 12 months in which to get ready to convert that patent to a full utility patent, and it's going to cost you not the $2,000, $3,000 or $4,000 that you spent early in the provisional, but more like $60,000 to get you through the utility patent in one or more countries that you're looking at. Also, the funding for these projects are very hard to get because you don't have cash flow, and nobody's going to be able to mitigate the risk unless they fully understand it. So the average high net worth investor is not likely to jump into this project if he still has the option of going into publicly traded shares. You're also usually pre-cash flow, and therefore you don't have access to a lot of money, and you can't give anyone a return until you do get to cash flow positive. And there's also no clear way out for early stage unless you planned it right. And that's why a lot of investors will shy away from your project. Now, the key reasons why you won't get anywhere, won't get traction in your project is usually you don't have a process you're following, there's no funding available, there's no planned exit for you or for any other person coming in as yet. You have no cash in the bank, so then you're hand to mouth all the time, and 50% of your time is planning on raising capital. The other 50% or 30% of the other 50% is on actually raising capital rather than doing the work. You've got growing expenses and you've got patent deadlines looming, and all of this starts to put pressure on you as the months go by down to the patent conversion time, which is your 12 months from the day you lodged your provisional patent. So the way you're looking at getting your invention to earn income in months instead of years. That's the most important thing for you, because then once you start earning income, you start getting options, and those options will open up, will de-risk your project and open you up to a whole lot more opportunities. So how does that work? Well, I'm going to give it to you in the triangle model because there's 3 parts to this that you need to understand. First one is you're going to have low cash. If you're an early start commercialization, unless you funded it from your last success, you don't have that much cash. Next, the process is usually very slow, and that won't speed up unless you've got a program to actually follow step by step by step. And then thirdly, you have an unclear exit for you and for anyone else you're asking to join you. So how do we handle that? Let's look at cash first. We look to bring in the right investment partner, and that is not a high net worth individual, not a rich person. We look for people who are collaborative partners from the industry or the market. They're cornerstone investors, as we call them. And the reason for that, they give you these 3 things. Firstly, once you're fully funded, you don't have to worry about cash burn then on, and 100% of your time can be in the commercialization rather than thinking about money for the next month or 6 months. Next, they bring in their industry experience and infrastructure, not just what you've got, but because they're from the industry or the market, they probably have a lot of infrastructure, certainly would have a lot of industry experience and know-how, and sometimes they can make the difference simply by the contacts they have within that industry to help you set up to source different components or set up channels for you to sell your product. And finally, you don't have the weight of no income. So you can draw a modest salary for that time while you're doing the R&D. That gets your family happy, gets you to a point where you can focus more on the product or the project rather than on where am I going to feed myself next week. Now, if we pivot now to slow progress, I want to show you how we can speed that up. Firstly, if you've got a process to follow and you know what to do next and what to do after that and so on, and you've got 6 months to get your project from an idea through to cash flow positive, then you need that action plan. You need to know what the steps are. You need to know who's going to be doing it, and you need to know how much it's going to cost you to do that. The next, you have to have that commercial model. I've talked about commercial models a lot, but essentially it's more than just a business plan. It's really how the project meets the market and also what the pricing and costing is. It's about the risks associated with the industry or the competitors. And finally, it's about you and you're getting in and getting out, and an exit for anyone else that's going to join you. Next, you've got to have a clear roadmap from where you are now to the exit points that you're going to offer somebody to come in on your project for the right partner in the low cash area. And finally, you need to get some coaching and accountability to make sure that if you get given this process, you can implement it. So the clear roadmap is something you immediately got. You're sharing that with everyone else in your project, but more importantly, you're speaking to someone with experience every week at minimum, and sharing your, they're keeping you accountable to everything you need to do, but more importantly, they're sharing you knowledge and know-how as you get to ask questions to make sure that you're embedding all that knowledge and learning as you go. Now, if we pivot down to unclear exit, I want to see if I can give you some clarity on that. Firstly, you need to unlock your true value of your project, and that's not easy to do, but we help you do that. We do that through, your exit might be royalties through licensing. It could be trade sale. You might actually have a key buyer to buy your project out when it reaches a certain amount, and I've seen that done, negotiated before that project's even started. Or you may have you're looking for somebody who's going to help you with distribution. You're going to lock it into a distribution agreement, and then from then on, all you're going to do is manufacture these products in a side business in your existing industry, and they're going to be distributed by other parties. So that can be done, but you have to have the knowledge and know-how and the infrastructure to do it. Well, I'm telling you, you don't need to. You can actually buy that, and that's what the Inventors Masterclass is all about. So what outcomes do you need in order to make this successful? Firstly, you need a commercial model. I've explained that. You need ownership. You need to know that what you're going to own and how you're going to protect it. You need the funding to get you from where you are now through to the cash flow positive, but also later on you're going to need growth, which is scaling, and that's going to be a little bit different. But once you've got cash flow positive, it's a lot easier to raise a lot more money. Next, you need your IP earning income. If it's not earning income, it's costing you money, and deadlines are looming, and that's a danger for you. Next, you've got signed agreements. Once you've got signed agreements, your project has value, and you can actually get it independently valued, and off you go. So there's less risk for you and for any other investors. And finally, you get yourself a clear exit path. That is most important to anybody else you bring into the project. So what we provide in this process is ideation and commercial modeling in a workshop at the very beginning of your journey with us. We also give you ownership and protection and guidance and advice. We're not patent attorneys. You would have your own patent attorney. We show you how to manage your risks associated with ownership and protection without necessarily getting a patent full in the early stage. And then we look at funding and partnering, and we show you how to do that. And we also help you with that. We show you how to transition your project from R&D through to cash flow positive. That's an important step. It's a complete mindset change. And if you're not geared for it, it won't happen. You'll end up cycling back into R&D because that's where you're comfortable. We help you scale the business when you're ready. Scaling means whatever you're doing each year now, we can do that in a month. And it's really just a mindset change and a lot of other infrastructure changes to make that happen. We also work with you on your exit plan. Your exit plan doesn't mean to say you leave the company or the project. It's a value realization point that you must give for yourself, your family, but also for your cornerstone investor who came in at the early stage. And finally, once you've graduated this, you've sold your project, you can become an IP mentor with our program. And so we then give you projects to mentor as you go in your regional local area. You might be in one particular side of one continent or one country, and we help you with all of those. So if we have people in that area who need help, that speak your language, have your culture, it's a much easier transition for them to work with you rather than with us. And why this works is very easy. You follow a clear process, so you always know what you're doing, and you always know what you're going to be doing after that's completed. You get all the tools you need and checklists and templates and downloads, everything is there. You get weekly help and you get weekly accountability on project status review in our Ask Me Anything, which is an hour to an hour and a half each week. And we do that on Wednesday nights in US time or Thursday morning Australian time. And you come online and we share the learning with all the other inventors. So it's a lot of community work as well. You have full project control at all times, and we're guiding you with that. So you are driving a project, you're not bringing someone else who is kicking you out. You pay yourself an income, which is important because we help you raise enough in order to do that and not run out of money. And you're part of our inventor community because a lot of learning you'll do, not from me or not from us, but from your peers that you share. You ask a question and you'll get people who've done that area before and have good knowledge in it will share information with you, sometimes before I can get to it. So you always have lots of opinions, and you can choose to use any particular one, but I'll argue why what I use works, but others may have just as valid an argument for your particular project. So firstly, to get into this program, you must qualify. There's an IP validation checklist, which I give to everybody, that you can download that and check your project. If you score as high enough, then your project is ready to commercialize, and I'll be interested in talking to you. You can book a triage call with me where I'll ask you some questions and make sure that you're investor ready and commercial ready. If you're not, we can send you back, or we can give you guidance to get you to that point. You can register at inventorsmasterclass.com if you wanted to go ahead. But before you do that, or once you've done that, you can join the Facebook group. You can then put the work in and get the outcomes very quickly. And as long as you need to be there every week, because if you're not, things are going to drift, and you don't want to drift. You want to get this done in months instead of years. So if you want to jump into this program, you want to learn more about it, speak to me. Get your phone now, take a photograph, get your camera open on your phone and hover above that square, and it'll take you to a link where you can book a 45-minute strategy call with me, and I'm more than happy to talk to you about whether or not your project is suitable, whether you're ready for it, and whether I can help you to turn your project into money in months instead of years. Okay, I look forward to seeing you on those calls.